gonna be right. It's gonna be alright now, baby. Friday night, it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be right. It's gonna be alright now, baby.
TGIF, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Have No Sphere channel right here on YouTube. You're watching Have No Sphere. My name is Josh Corey. We've got a full lineup, minus one this evening. But I've got lots to talk about, so we're going to jump right into it. There we go. Welcome, everybody. I don't even have my chat pulled up yet, but welcome everybody in chat because I'm sure there's somebody going to be there. Let's jump in and say hello to the folks we have joining us this evening. We do have one Mr. John Savage. John, how has your week been? I know you've got some exciting news.
Okay. Yeah, no, my week's been great. Nothing exciting's been happening really. So
you get a new bit of kit that's ready to.
I can't believe you give him a link like that.
No, come on.
No one wants to hear my plumbing shit.
We don't any week, but you give it us anyway.
Yeah, well, I finally got my thermal store back again from the scabbing gits that built it and didn't put enough insulation on it. Now it has a full 5 mil all the way around, so it's a nice little plump fat boy. I'm well happy. I'm 3 weeks behind, and now I can crack on and ruin the house a bit more. So yeah, no, I am excited about that. But in terms of flat Earth, not much exciting has been happening. I've actually been farting about with Twitter ballers for a giggle, really, but nothing's changed. So I'll kick into the side quite quickly. But yeah, looking forward to the show tonight. Bit of banter.
Always good for a family show. And of course, we have the Adam Meakin. Adam, how's your week been?
Weird. Bloody weird. Really busy at work, but I've also had quite a topsy-turvy week in Flat Earth, mate. We'll get on to the other stuff, of which I do want to give a slight apology. I misspoke a little bit. I'll get into that, but yeah. So that's been a bit of a pain in the arse because it's meant I've had to sit up and redo my maths because I got some numbers wrong. But the beginning of the week started really well, and I want to give a huge shout out to Dee Van and to Gary Heather. Dave. Apparently I'm not allowed to gloat, but I'm gloating, man. They've kindly said they will allow me to enter the next year's convention for free. They'd like me to come along, so I'm really honoured at that. And if I weren't looking forward to it enough already, I am more so now. So yeah, big thanks to bro.
That is awesome. Exciting.
Then it got a bit better. So I've been invited to join along with Zack. Obviously, joining on some of the conversations in FE Core, to some of the meetings that they have where they're discussing, like at the moment, the new laser experiments. So I think that was going to be really useful, keeping us here in the realm up to date, as well as a little engaging for me, because I had a little maths chat with them in the week and no one ran off. Although Gary did, I did notice that. but yeah, so that I think bodes quite well, mate. Looks quite interesting, and I'm really looking forward to chatting with those guys and gals a bit more. So said hello to a few of them. So looking for more chat there. So yeah, then that, and then obviously what I want to talk about later, which is to do with this Miles Davis stuff and title tonight's show. All got a little bit of. Fortunately, Zack's out of Wi-Fi range, so we can't do angular stuff tonight. But are you there, Zack? How's your week been, bro?
I mean, it has been an awesome week. Have a visitor with me right now, actually. Came all the way from the coast of California, I believe. 3 hours away to come hang out all day. It's been awesome conversation. I had no idea that we were getting this close to showtime when you guys got a hold of me. Sold quite a few hats this week.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. It's been really an uplifting week. I needed it. And yeah, I'm ready for the show. I'm excited.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Well, my week's been pretty quiet. Slaving away, making sure I don't starve in the streets like a useless dog.
You're going to start playing the blues in it.
In my heart. Nope, it's been a good week. Just nice and quiet. Not a whole lot going on. Weather here in Missouri has been the typical roller coaster. It's going to be 50 degrees and thunderstorms tonight, and I had 5 inches of snow not too long ago. So, I mean, you just never can tell. If you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. It'll change.
It's great if you don't have to leave the house.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Unfortunately, I'm not in that position.
That's why I love the winter. It gives me an excuse. It gives me the good excuse not to leave the house, other than walking Muttley. But that's a challenge we face every day. Great fun.
You got to get
nothing,
us.
There's nothing wrong with. There's nothing. What is it they say? There's no such thing as bad weather. It's just wearing inappropriate clothes.
Before we go rambling, there was one thing I meant to mention pre-show with Sandra, Josh, P900 Coolpit or P1000, whatever you want to use. It's the P1000. It has to be Sandra P1000 because it's through the P1000. It's done an awesome bid today, and I asked her if she'd maybe let us play it at some point. So we try and remind me to make sure we put it on, maybe midway through, because it's about 7 minutes long, but it's absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Just drop the link right here in the Skype chat. That way I don't have to open up Twitter to get it and send John off on a rage.
We'll do so.
You are.
I was just trying to avoid having to open up an actual internet window and send you off into a rage with an echo.
How
I'll be able to play it. I can play it through YouTube here. So just remind me, because I really do want to play it, and you know how we go. Sometimes it.
Well, that's why I was gonna. Well, because you have to do the extra click to share the stuff with us.
Oh yeah.
I thought you had it. Then it's mandatory.
one click away.
Whilst we're on about me forgetting shit, then are we going for the break at half time?
Absolutely.
There you go. You see, I remembered something.
So, Adam, have you been asked to speak at the conference, or just you're just freeloading?
Shit, no. See, this was what I meant to mention Wednesday pre-show. Terrible, aren't I? Like scatterbrain fool. Zack, right? What they did say is what it's really cool as well, because they are not just looking at speakers, but trying to make things a little more interactive. What I've gathered, and there's going to be a bit like when you go to a science fair, I think, something along those lines. And they have asked us if I'd want to do something, and I thought I'm pretty sure between now and then, me and Zack could come up with something that would demonstrate his angular resolution formula in a practical sense. So I've got a few ideas myself, but throw it out there to the folks. And also, if there's any realistic kind of tabletop experiments that you think might be useful or you'd like to see there, give us a shout, guys, because that's Gary did give me the invite of maybe presenting something. I did say I could do right. I did say I could do some of that Mo's maths presentations, and he went, yeah. We're thinking more along something that people could interact with. So I don't know if that was a play a lot.
Yeah, I've got a couple ideas already for that, Adam.
Oh, mate.
He's more
Aperture
tactful than
cameras
I am.
showing the difference.
Some IRM calculators.
There
you go.
Maybe we could hire someone.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think that'd be good for us to
Interesting.
get our heads together, Zach, because I obviously offered John's gyroscope up. I'm sure that should make an appearance. That's a legendary bit of kit.
You got your own.
No. Mine isn't Apollo 11, is it? It's not the actual original.
Are you calling mine a fake?
I'm saying it's not been to space.
Yeah, I can agree with you there.
But yeah, so any ideas I think would be awesome. I don't know. Not looked at that, but I think if we've got to come up with something, guys. I think that we're gonna have a little IRM stand.
So did you answer the question? Have they asked you to speak or not?
No, I think they've firmly denied. We'll, look, they're gonna come on. They're gonna come on and chat with us at some point. I think, hopefully, either close to the announcement, before or after. It all depends, I think, on workloads and timings. But maybe we can pursue the point.
So, Zack, are you planning on being there as well?
Now, this is in Amsterdam. I don't know. I mean, I'll have to I don't know. We'll see. When is it going to be?
Right. Well, timings-wise, I'll do that then. I think it's going to be towards the end of September next year. But not much more do I know than that. So the exact date's no idea. So before the American one. So
yeah, if I could, if everything works out this summer and I get to sell cannabis legally up in Michigan and make lots of money, I'll definitely be there.
Oh. Zack, you can't drop a line like that, right? You can't, bro. Can you? You can't go drop a line like that and then not explain it, because it's mean to any listener, but me, mate, what a dream job you've been offered. What goes, bro?
Yeah, I got a buddy who I met out here on the road, fellow nomad, and he just actually headed back to Michigan to get his grow started again for next year. But he wants to learn how to grow outdoors as well. And he needs somebody to actually go to the dispensaries. It's like a farmer's market type dispensary, and sell for him. He hates doing that. And I would love doing that. And then coming back to the house and just working outside in the gardens and stuff like that.
Does he hate doing that because every time he does, he gets SWAT teamed by the FBI or something?
No, nothing like that.
Read the small print.
Large groups of people.
Say again?
He's a veteran, and he doesn't like being around large groups of people.
Don't blame him. I'm much the same.
So, I told him to come up there and tell it for you.
Sounds brilliant, mate.
He was like, yeah, for sure. So hopefully fingers crossed. Yeah, I could make a lot of money working 5, 6 months a year. And he's already pretty well established at growing really, really high quality cannabis.
I think
You're making me jealous. No, you go.
I was just going to say, I think you'll had one hell of a lot, mate, because we were chatting, weren't we? I said in the week, I always remember the care and love you gave to your courgette plants and the way you'd unravel their little grabs, shoots that they'd fire off. And I think
this is a PG show, mate.
I know, a little bit, weren't it?
At least 13 show.
Getting a bit wet there.
I'm moving on because the point I was bleeding making, Savage.
Yeah, leave your courgette out of it this time.
Yeah. Take a zucchini and stick it somewhere. Mate, I genuinely think that the skills and the assets you have, and not only were you helping, but I think actually when we talk about alchemical stuff and we talk about those plants, they're the sort of plants that should be used for medicinal uses, not smoking, because I know the love they're going to receive, and I think, like I say, for me, they should be reserved for medicinal use, mate, not recreational.
Smoke weed.
I say bollocks. Smoke it, ingest it, however you want. If you're putting love into it, there you go.
I will be able to, if I'm staying up there, I'll be able to grow 12 plants of my own as well.
Shh.
So I'll see if I can figure out a way to send you guys some.
Keep that quiet.
Well, I was going to say, Zach, are you going to unveil the thing that makes you the most popular guy on the planet, or? Because hats is one thing.
That sounded way too cryptic.
It was meant to be.
I got to know, what makes you the most popular person on the planet, Zach? And why have you been holding out on me? I mean, aside from Hank's Handmade Hemp Hats.
I didn't know I was the most popular person.
I think I know. I was. I'm not saying yet. Zach. As with always, mate, I think you unveiled another plan of just announce you're going to get this much. You can't do that with it. And as always, your generous spirit, I thought, had decided that if you can't use it yourself, you'll give it away. And
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the stuff I grow is not for sale. It's for whoever needs it. It's just, if I'm already making money, I don't need to make off that stuff. That I'm good. So yeah, they'll definitely be donated for sure, 100%.
I've just had a message in Skype from.
Thank you. I was just getting to it. So did I.
Yeah, I'll leave it with you, Josh.
I'm assuming I did. You haven't even finished your sentence, but I just got one in Skype, and I'm assuming it's probably the same one you did. So,
go on, bro.
Zach, if you're ever headed further west to Cali, stopping traffic in my Rasta hat has been growing professionally for 8 seasons, it says. So you should definitely hit him up. I think you could probably gain some great knowledge there. I've gained some great knowledge from him just in our quick interactions on Discord in regards to CBD isolates and all sorts of cool stuff.
I'm pretty sure Zack would impart some experience and knowledge as well. Could be a good partnership.
Very symbiotic relationship, I'm sure. Absolutely.
Sounds like
yeah,
a bloody good. God, sorry, Zach.
pretty much down for anything right now. I would like to go to Florida for the winters and help out my good buddy Adam.
In the business world, Zach, wouldn't something like that be, with regards to a new job, be called a research project and preparation? I mean, might be great fun. I'm jealous already.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it'd be research.
Great job for a nomad.
Perfect job for a nomad. Work
Well.
the summers and then have the winters to go walk around on a walkabout. Stop by Missouri on my way down south.
That's what I'm talking about.
Go hang out in Louisiana for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe spend the rest of the winter in Florida.
I might be going to Italy to see Adam.
There's a promise, isn't there?
Yeah.
That if I can get him enough cheap wine and tobacco, he'll meet me for a night in a ginger wig.
It's like trading with the Native Americans.
That almost sounds like you're paying, mate. Oh, it's just got even better.
I won't be coughing on my blankets, though, Josh.
Oh, whore. You're so nasty, John. Sell you a little bit of tobacco and some cheap wine.
Hell yeah.
I knew like you in high school.
Tobacco ain't cheap, mate. I don't drink wine, but tobacco ain't cheap. Anyway, come on. We've got to move this on.
Well, can I do my apologetics then? Get this out the bloody way. And
Go on then.
okay.
All about here.
It's not apologetics. I don't like saying things and them being misunderstood, and also I don't like getting things wrong. And there's a bit of both here, I think. Let me just set a window up, Josh, so I can.
I think that would be a great idea.
I've got to apologise after you as well.
Sweet. Zach, do you have any apologies or anything? We'll just get them all lined up, knock them out. Bing, bing, bing. Get them out of the way.
Like confessional.
Well, it's more about integrity of mathematics. Okay, so for anyone that doesn't know, does know, whatever, I've been getting involved with some of the with Ranty and Nathan and that with regards to some of this, and it appears to be kicking off all over the place. I've seen some from Phuket World today. I've not had a chance to watch it yet, but and I know Dell's now involved and the likes, and obviously I've been doing some mathematics on this, and also in the week I kind of got this Walt Bislin new Earth curve calculator, which ballers are saying takes into account angular perspective, which is cool. What we want, you know. Stick that there. So it's that, and with regards to that, I'd been doing some kind of trying to analyze this and do some of this work on Miles's stuff. And basically, I got my knickers in, and I hold my hands up, and I got confused by looking. Before I do this, the basic premise of what I was saying still holds true, and if people don't nod off too much, I want to get onto that in a bit. But
it's tiny on the screen, mate.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be. It's not really sure. Just go to you type in Walter Bislin's Advanced Earth Curve Calculator. It'll come up, and it looks a really. I've got a lot of. The trouble with all these is they don't tell you how they work. Okay, so when you're trying to understand, if you don't understand programming, you just kind of got to guess stuff. So I'd been anyway. Excuses. So basically, I've got this thing here confused with this, and obviously whenever the Earth curve calculator takes an angle, it does, as I stated, do it as best as it can as it tilts it all the way down to the horizon, given the angle. So if you vary the height, the more it tilts down. And that does have an effect on what you're seeing. And what I was doing within some of the other maths that I was doing, I was looking at this analysis, and I ended up saying, because of down here, note that theta is the same angle as the tilt of the target object. I'd kind of got myself confused, and to be honest, I had it on no refraction there. And if I'd have had it on frickin' angles, I'd have seen what he was on about, which is this tilt here, which is obvious and a basic statement as derived from this, which is the same as my formula, John, just simplified. So basically I'd done that, and I'd done some subsequent maths on Miles's picture on that, but I think I'd kind of, well, misassumed that in this calculator, for some reason, Walter Bisling's calculator was moving this angle instead of this angle at different distances. And unfortunately, in my conspiratorial mode, I thought, you cheating bastards, another thing. And I did kind of react to that a little bit and give that premise, and I apologise for that. It was wrong. That's the end of that. However, with regards to the Miles Delia Davis stuff, the point still stands. And this is something I'd like a little bit of advice on. And I'll just get rid of this. I'll put my screen on. Just bear with me.
Is Nathan around so we can get a translation?
He is. Actually, he's in chat.
I think that's...
You're saying this and that, and I'm looking at this tiny little thumbnail on the screen.
I think before... I'm just changing it now, so just bear with me to do that. And I think I've misled Nathan a little bit, and like I said, I've misspoken from my misunderstanding of it, and I hold my hands up there. Like I say, it's a minor point, and from what I can see, as with any kind of analysis, it's yielded greater understanding. And I was chatting with Ranty the other night, trying to get this point over, and like I said, the main point I was trying to make with regards to the analysis of Miles Davis's stuff was that it's, and this relates to what Del was saying with regards to the centre of the picture, and it relates to Sandra's stuff. Actually, we should show this afterwards with regard to the centre of the frame. And the centre of the frame is the thing that points the angle. It tells you so much in the picture. Whether you can define it or not from the picture is a different matter. But in the case of Miles's picture, he is the one making the presupposition and statement that the angle is defined, because he's saying he's lined it up with the top of the bridge 46 kilometres away. So both the observer and the top of the bridge are at 46, so the centre of the frame should be at the top of the bridge. And in doing that, when you analyse a photo, that fixes that angle. Now, and this is the point which I think is Nathan is talking about, is how can we ever assume that when we do curvature maths, the angle that the camera is taken at is at the most favourable for the ballers and angled down to the horizon, particularly considering observer height requires you to tilt it down, and I don't think we're seeing, with regards to Sandra's work, any significant tilting down, and I think that's work that we could demonstrate and prove. But to kind of summarise, and I will be brief with regards to the maths, because I've only got it on 30 bits of paper. I kind of reapplied the maths, and what I've basically taken is that the center of the frame is exactly as Miles would describe it, as a long rod from A to B. And what I've done is align the center of the frame between the observer and the top of the bridge, and then we've mathematically taken that center of frame out and then plotted on here the different peaks at the 90, 100, etc, etc. Now in doing so, we make a couple of assumptions. We take theta as the angle, which is calculated via my curvature maths, John, 0.009 to be savage, and that gives us theta, and from that we've got a isosceles triangle, so we can calculate those and therefore calculate the angle of dip in the photograph, which turns out to be 89.72. So I did that, and therefore from there we can then, you can see my scruffy writing where I've done the recalculations, but if we take Meikle Bin for example, we can now redraw these triangles here, where this is the radius of the Earth plus the observer height, and this is the radius of the Earth plus the point of intersection with the peak, which is hopefully above it. If it's below it, we can correct for that later, but it doesn't matter. So I've kind of done all that maths, and it's there if people really did ever want to see it. But using this kind of triangle, we have to use the law of sines, and in using the law of sines, done it again, and basically what it's saying is that if we were looking from that angle at that picture at Meikle Bin, where the ballers give a hidden height of 126, my maths are saying that actually the center of frame will intercept at 540 because of the applied curvature, because obviously as we go here the curvature starts to be expressed in terms of the distance, so the drop is applied to it. It actually intersects with Meikle Bin at 540 meters, the center of frame, and therefore if you do the maths on that, and this relates to, it's really good when the ballers come in and critique, because this all began with Soundly giving us a load of stuff and kind of citing what Zack was doing with regards to some of his angular resolution stuff, and having to split the center of frame and describe the resolution above and below, and I think this is really quite applicable here, because like I say the center of frame will intersect with Meikle Bin at 540 meters, which leaves 30 meters above the point of intersection. I'll say there's a little bit more maths to do then, and this is literally all I want to say, just to reiterate the point that Nathan's making stuff, and how they will use this maths to try and make a point. This is literally placing these peaks geographically on a ball. You know, I am doing so many suppositional work here on their behalf to do this, but that's what's required to place it on a ball, and I'm doing my best, to be honest. You know, I'll hold my hands up when I'm wrong, and I'll appreciate any feedback. And on that, we've had Rue here, who I assume wants to probably address the points that I started with. Do you know what I mean? So I'll take any feedback. I'd appreciate that. But like I said, if that's the case, there really is. It really is applying the curvature, because according to Miles, this is the angle the photo is taken at. I don't think it is, because if you listen to the Dell and the likes, but you take Earl's Seat, so we get there, we get a huge intersection. This one actually starts to cut down because it's so far below, -649, which is, and I'll finish here, it's kind of the point that when I first did the curvature maths, when me and Nathan were chatting and I did the presentation on his show, he agreed with me. You know, most photos are taken at a 90-degree from the camera. Very rare do you angle it down. And most all transit is taken at that point. And with that in mind, it really does affect the maths quite significantly. And I think that really does need to be taken into account and really does place into perspective. Maths is bollocks, yeah? And unless it really accurately represents the reality you're trying to describe with it, then it's a lie, it's a falsehood, and at best it can give you a good idea, but it's never going to tell you the truth. And I think with a lot of this stuff, we've been used to listening to the ballers state these curvature calculations as if they have a direct applicable meaning to the photograph in which we're talking about. And hopefully, if nothing else that's come out of Miles's work, is it does demonstrate that actually, whilst the curvature calcs in their many different forms do have their uses, they're not lies, as much as I might have thought they were. They're being applied incorrectly, and I think that point still stands. And there's certainly, it's very, very difficult to apply those curvature calculators, which assume so much, to any photograph, which is hard to validate the conditions that the calculator assumes. I'm done rambling. Cheers, guys.
That was a private broadcast for Nathan and his crew. I've no idea what you're talking about, mate.
Thanks.
Sorry.
I got it off my chest.
Good. Did you want to play that video?
Sandra P900. Did you ever send me that link?
Well, funnily enough, I wasn't doing it whilst I was rambling like that.
Well, I'm sure Josh and Zack have got something to say.
It takes a big man to admit when he's wrong.
It does.
When he's made a mistake. When there's corrections need to be made. So well done, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I have, honestly, it's bugged me into hell. Because I don't lie. I try not to lie. I did lie to my mum. I've lied to my mum. I did say I didn't answer your call tonight. I'd only just got in the door, and I'd just got in. Yeah, I'd been in about 10 minutes, so it wasn't totally untrue, but I did need 10 minutes, another sort of 20 minutes unwinding before.
Ooh, Adam.
I know, I am a liar. Right.
10 hail radiuses.
But yeah, it did bug me, so I did want to point out, because there is a bit of misconception in there that we were accusing the Walt Bislin formula of actually tweaking the angle. And like I said, that was my misunderstanding. It led me to do a lot of effort after that misunderstanding, so it wasn't a malicious thing, because I wouldn't have done the maths after it to recalculate the angles based on it.
I think the underlying current here is that, you know, you're trying to be honest. You don't want to put misleading or misinformation out there and people to go running with it. And this is where my apology comes up in a bit, for exactly the same reasons. And it was maths based as well, ironically, but it was for the same reasons that I don't want to put misinformation out there, so it needs correcting. But yeah, game on.
That's exactly it, John. It as minor as it is, and like I said, it didn't reflect directly on the point I was making in regards to Miles's photo. It was just an assumption I made whilst co-analysing the Walter Bislin formula that I apologise. It was wrong, but like I said.
Well, I'm sure for the one person out there who knows what you're talking about, it's probably in the chat, isn't he? I can't remember his name. Never mind. What is his name? Come on, Adam.
Not Nathan.
No.
Walter Bislin, or are you? Not your plumber, is it?
I'm with you, Adam. I don't know what the hell he's on
Well,
about.
thank for that.
You
I
were
didn't know it
talking
was
to
me.
him earlier in
Yeah.
chat.
Why are you so cryptic, Savage? You were talking to him earlier.
Name. There aren't too many people involved in this tale. We've gone through Nathan.
Ranty?
No,
Ranty?
not Ranty. No, I
No,
said
not Ranty.
the baller. He's
Ruhif.
Ruhif.
There you go.
That's why I can remember his name, because it's not a bloody name, is it? Is it?
Doesn't sound real. You wouldn't name your child that, would
Well, I don't know. Maybe, in Germany or something, Ruhif is the 5th most popular name. I don't know.
you? Sounds like a new date rape drug, man.
The Rumpus doesn't sound like a popular name, but I can remember that one. Ruhif. What the hell does that mean? Ruhif, tell us what it means, mate. Anyway,
Well,
you got this video.
I've sent it to Josh. He's pulled it up, so give me a second just to tweak the windows.
That's all right. Just filling.
Phil, Sam.
Well, it would have been good to bring up so-and-so's picture to have a look at.
John, you were talking about misinformation, and Walter and I had a story this morning over on Truth Frequency Radio on the Ironworks every Tuesday and Friday from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Central.
Nice, Phil. Go.
But dictionary.com, their word of the year is misinformation.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Why?
As opposed to disinformation, misinformation was unknowingly spreading these type of things, as opposed to disinformation is where you're, I guess, knowingly doing it.
So disinfo is when you know you're bullshitting.
Correct.
Misinfo is when you're bullshitting because you're mistaken.
Correct.
So,
misinformed. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, misinfo is what we strive for, whereas disinfo is what seems to come out of the ball.
Well, here's what I thought was funny. On the story, it's at HollywoodReporter.com. Go figure. Let's see, where was it? Here we go. The 2018 pick is intended to serve as a call to action to be vigilant in the battle against fake news, flat earthers, and anti-vaxxers, among others.
See, that's how I saw it, Josh, right? Was some weak excuse to have a go at all those three groups, yeah, under the guise of defining a definition.
And tying them all together as well.
Yeah, exactly. It seems so contrived, the whole story. You know what I mean? As a carry on with it, but and explain it, because it just, the whole thing just stinks of the reason for doing all of this was to put this news article there to link, as you say, John, link these things together and point out how evil and twisted the people who think these things must be.
Well, it says misinformation as opposed to disinformation was chosen on Monday as Dictionary.com's word of the year on the tattered coattails of toxic, picked earlier this month for the same honor by Oxford dictionaries in these tumultuous times. Jane Sullivan is a linguist in residence at Dictionary and said in a recent interview that her site's choice of miss over dis was deliberate, intended to serve as a call to action to be vigilant in the battle against fake news, flat earthers, and anti-vaxxers, among other conduits.
Well, hold on a minute. I mean, when you read something like so-and-so organization has labeled misinformation, has announced misinformation is the most used, or what did they say? Most popular or something?
The word of the year.
The word of the year. So I would have thought that there was some sort of logarithm running in the background, where you would search the internet as a whole on its metadata and use and run a program that would show you what was the most used word or whatever, rather than this person just chose it. They just chose it. So that's
Well,
great.
it does go into that a little bit, if I remember correctly. Let's see. It's the idea of intent, whether to inadvertently mislead or to do it on purpose, that the Oakland, California-based company wanted to highlight. The company decided it would go high when others have spent much of 2018 going low. Yeah, anti-vax, flat earth, numbnuts. Anyway, the rampant spread of misinformation is really providing new challenges for navigating life in 2018, Solomon told the Associated Press ahead of the Word of the Year announcement. Misinformation has been around for a long time, but over the last decade or so, the rise of social media has really changed how information is shared. We believe that understanding the concept of misinformation is vital to identifying misinformation as we encounter it in the wild, and that could ultimately help curb its impact. In studying lookups on the site that trended this year, Dictionary noticed our relationship with truth is something that came up again and again, she said. For example, the word mainstream popped up a lot, spiking in January as the term mainstream media, or MSM, grew to gargantuan proportions, wielded as an insult by some on the political right. Other words swirling around the same problem included a lookup surge in February for white lie after Hope Hicks, then the White House communications director, admitted to telling a few for President Donald Trump. The word Orwellian surfaced in heavy lookups in May after a statement attributed to the White House press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders accused the Chinese government of, quote, Orwellian nonsense, end quote, in trying to impose its views on American citizens and private companies when it declared that United Airlines, American Airlines, and other foreign carriers should refer to Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau as part of China in their public-facing materials, such as websites. Wow, that's a whole bunch of nothing. So misinformation, Solomon said, frames what we have all been through in the last 12 months. In that vein, sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to say with that, like, I know it'd be amazing to try and claim that we have this level of planning and synergy, but was what I said then in the week misinformation or disinformation?
Miss. And what I tweeted was misinformation as well. There was no intention to mislead behind it, surely.
See, there's a few other good.
Looking at fucking chat. Okay.
What were you going to say, Adam?
Surely that's a reasonable time to look at chat as to whether it's misinformation or disinformation, or just a complete psyop. What I did.
Well, see, right here, obviously, it must be misinformation because the rise of misinformation, Solomon said, stretches well beyond U.S. borders. And Facebook's role in disseminating fake news and propaganda in the Cambridge Analytica scandal, the use of Facebook and other social media to incite violence and conflict was documented around the globe in 2018, she said. Hate speech and rumors posted to Facebook facilitated violence against the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar. Riots started in Sri Lanka after false news set up the country's Buddhist majority against the Muslims, and false rumors about child kidnappers on WhatsApp led to mob violence in India, Solomon said. Is disinformation or misinformation at play in terms of the year's most prominent conspiracy theories? Solomon noted proliferation on social media over students in the Parkland school shooting being crisis actors instead of victims of violence, and over a group of migrants from Honduras who were making their way north being funded by rich liberals.
Hold up, Josh. Are you telling me that Honduran migrants haven't made it and Indian children have died because I got my numbers wrong midweek?
Nope, that's not what I'm saying. I am saying there are Honduran immigrants at the border. Yes, that is true. Not quite sure how they got there so fast, and maybe they weren't funded by, quote, rich liberals, but they sure made good time. Pretty well organized. But elsewhere in the culture, countless podcasts and videos have spread the absurd notion of a global cover-up that the Earth is flat rather than round. The idea of misinfodemics, that's pretty good. Misinfodemics has surfaced in the last several years to identify the anti-vaccination movement and other beliefs that lead to real-world health crises, Solomon said.
Misinfo. Say it again.
Misinfodemics, like academics plus misinfo, had a little bastard baby called misinfodemics. Yeah. That's a shit word, I got to tell you, but there it is.
I quite like that. There's a lot of them about.
Sounds like shorthand for the Federal Bureau of Investigations or something, or the CIA, isn't it? That sounds quite.
Have you ever heard of Poe's Law? I'm just reading down here. This is something I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
Solomon pointed to Poe's Law in slicing and dicing misinfo and disinfo. The term, dating to 2005, has become an internet shorthand to sum up how easy it is to spread satire as truth online when an author's intent isn't clearly indicated. The phrase is based on a comment one Nathan Poe posted on a Christian forum during a discussion over creationism, in which he commented, "Without a winking smiley or other blatant display of humor, it is utterly impossible to parody a creationist in such a way that someone won't mistake it for the genuine article." I don't know what the fuck that means. Sorry.
Really impossible.
It's pseudo intellectuals accuse you of being a Poe.
Oh, so this is just some pseudo intellectual talking about how you don't really get the context of one's conversation via text.
Well, they're saying you're so intelligent. I don't know if you're a joke or being legitimate. I've looked it up several times, and it's just horseshit. It's the 2005 edition of Mockingbird's conspiracy theorists is to call you a Poe, and they love using the word. And
isn't it like I was being ironic, darling? Isn't it that sort of thing? That kind of.
It's a super advanced sarcasm, but nobody can tell if you're being serious or joking.
Just
they're calling it Poe based on some dude named Nathan Poe.
It's a bit like going,
in a chat room.
I think Hitler was a good bloke. A bit like that. Is that how you'd see it? Is that Poe?
It depends what your intent was.
Well, if
whether you're being
if I was at a snowflake meeting, then I would be Poe there, wouldn't I? By saying that.
No, it depends on what your intent is, whether you mean it or not.
I think because we can't tell if you're being serious or whether you're being joking, that's what makes you Poe.
Well, no, that's what would accuse us of being a Poe. Accuse him of being a Poe.
Because they can't tell if he's being serious or joking?
Yeah. But as to whether you are a Poe or not, it depends on your intent or what you meant when you said it, whether you actually meant he was a good bloke or not. This is why in Flat Earth, they'd rather call you a Poe because you can't be so stupid to think that Flat Earth is real. And I can't tell if you're a Poe or not. But it's always an accusation of being a Poe. But whether you are a Poe or not is up to you as to what your intention was, whether you're actually a legitimate flat earther, which of course most of us are, and therefore we're not a Poe. That's how I see it anyway.
Right, that smells like social programming, so that you if you listen to somebody who you unfortunately with your social program consider of authority, when you listen to something that challenges your dissonance, you're able to box that dissonance away under the Poe thing. He's being ironic, but I can't tell so much because unfortunately he's presenting me with valid apparent scientific data which disproves the bull. But he's obviously being a Poe because he's so intelligent he can't believe it's a bull.
It can be used in many ways, but first of all, most people don't know what it means, so they've got to go and look it up. Secondly, even after they've looked it up, they don't know what it means. And then thirdly, those who've looked it up still don't know what it means, try to use it to be intellectual because they know other people have to look it up. They're not going to know what it means, and then they're going to have to use it to try and look intellectual. It's like
Well, that's what I was saying.
relativity.
Was I right or wrong?
You know, E equals MC squared and this sort of thing, and that people using it, and don't you even understand the second law of thermodynamics and all this sort of crap. You know, when in reality, most of the people that are repeating that crap don't understand it at all. Does that make sense? So it's like conspiracy theories. You can just say it, and you know, there's almost sort of no retort because most people don't even know what a PO is. It's just nonsense.
I'm gonna try and work it into conversation next week, John. I didn't know what a PO was till this evening, but
don't do it. Don't feed their bullshit nomenclature. Say it how it is. You know, don't call me a PO or suspect I'm a PO. Just say, are you for fucking real? Are you talking? You know, because you're what you're saying.
You're thick and you can't comprehend it, so I must be a PO. That's what I'm gathering. If they don't understand it, if it's a joke they don't get, if it's sarcasm they don't understand, if it's a subject that they just can't quite get, then it's not their fault. It's your fault because you're a PO.
Exactly.
It's not their shortcomings.
It's spinning the table onto you because they're so ignorant they are not quite sure what the hell you're even saying.
Gotcha.
It's a classic one, yeah. But I wouldn't condone using the word, if it is even a word.
I'm not confident enough to use it yet.
Edgar Allan would say it probably is.
Well, I'll tell you, if you've read
any context, Josh.
If you've read 5 definitions of it on Now or whatever, or 3, see if you're any better off as to what it really means. Because every time I've been called it, I've had to go and look it up, and every time it's been a sort of different definition of, you know, what it means. But I think I've got a handle on it, and it sounds to me like a, you know, Mockingbird CIA psyop word.
So even then, I don't even think it's that sophisticated. I think.
Well, wait till it gets in the mainstream.
Grasping.
Wait till someone, say at the Guardian or whatever, uses the word in the mainstream, and every other muppet has to go and look it up and pretend they know what it means, and then drop it into conversations like E equals MC squared and thermodynamic laws and stuff, as though they know what they're talking about. And in reality, they don't. It's just nonsense.
So what you're saying is, if you have a small child in school learning about the heliocentric model, then there might be an occasion which you could use the term PO, maybe to a teacher. Again, I guess it's all about context.
Well, they're probably more likely to use the word PO to the student. So, I mean, teachers like saying things that students don't have a clue what they're talking about, so that they look intelligent.
Well, this is how you get it into the mainstream, though. Teachers aren't going to use it until the kids are using it. Because the kids will use it, then about 6-9 months later, after the kids are done using it, then the teachers are going to start using it.
Yeah, you're
kids
right.
have to call the teacher the PO.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, the kids will be calling you, and you'll be like, "Can you define what a PO is?" I don't know if you're joking. I'm too stupid to know. What are you talking about? Water finds its level.
Let me get this straight. You said 93 million miles away? Really? Really? Are you sure about that?
You're a PO. You're just POing me. That'd be hilarious. I see now they've actually got flat earth clubs at schools, like lunchtime clubs. Have you seen that?
No, I was about to say, you what?
From you? Yeah, I've seen reports of schools that the kids are. I remember when I was a kid, a long time ago, and we wanted to start a club, a break dancing club, which will show my age. And I remember that they immediately sort of said no, and we were like, well, we have the right to have our own club, and everyone sort of gathered together, and we made this big case about why we should be allowed to have a breakdancing club, whether they liked it or not. And we got it, and we got our breakdancing club. And anyway,
serious question, John. Right, serious.
Yeah.
How big was the bit of lino that you had?
we didn't have lino. They
No,
wouldn't. give us-
you're not in no breakdancing club. Don't give me. We had a bit of lino just when we were doing breakdancing on the
They
square.
wouldn't give
mate.
us any. It had
Can't
to
do
be
a
on
head spin
wooden
without
floor.
a bit of lino, mate. That's nonsense.
Tell my head that. Tell my head that.
That's what I'm
After
saying.
the amount of splinters I took out of my head from doing it on the wooden floor in the assembly room. Yeah, they wouldn't give us the lino. But anyway, I'm hearing that kids are doing the same, and they're starting flat Earth clubs, lunchtime clubs, to discuss flat Earth and inviting ballers along and all this sort of thing, because they're not allowed to discuss it in the classroom. They're literally being censored, silenced. It's not. It's just being laughed at. So yeah, I thought that was quite awesome. Hopefully, it'll be more successful than my breakdancing club.
What could you
I wish
do,
there was a way
John?
to get a hold of these clubs. Aside from a head spin, what could you do?
That's what I'm saying. Could you do the snake with your hands?
I could do the head spin, mate, really badly. I was crap.
Flares? I couldn't do that. That just looked like I was having a mild seizure when I tried that.
The most I had was a big ghetto blaster that I carry around on my shoulder. Like
The
a
only one I
wanker.
could do was a swallow dive, mate.
Oh yeah, anyone could do that.
Oh yeah, only on the flat Earth, mate. You got to compensate. That Earth's curving. Actually, that I reckon that probably is. There's a picture on screen now. That's probably about more like me finishing my swallow dive. I might have fond memories, but that's probably closer.
Yeah, that's like my head spin through the through the assembly wooden floor.
Should we play
Anyway,
Sandra's video?
I'm going to.
Do we
no,
just play it?
No, play what? What do you
The
want about?
video.
Oh, go on then. Yeah. What are you waiting for?
You. I'm muting Josh.
بدك احكي لي relax with time we go toward the night and dawn and now you're going to die.
That's impressive as hell. Well done, Sandra.
That was bloody awesome, wasn't it? I'm so glad you let that play through, mate. I watched it earlier and just look at it, man. Show me the curve. It's yeah, thoroughly outstanding. That Sandra, thank you so much for doing that. Do you know what I mean? And not. I mean, it takes a long way to get to do that. There's a lot of skill involved, cost. and effort and time. And thanks, Sandra, for all you do. Inspirational to see that. I don't know about you guys. Like,
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And they've got the perfect setup up there as well with the Isle of Man and everything else. I wonder how long it'll be before they spot Ireland.
the P1000 gives it a chance, doesn't it? It's
Well, it was done, wasn't it, back in the day with a parabolic mirror reflecting the sun in Wales, was picked up after 5 weeks of trying, was picked up in Ireland. I think it was Wicklow.
I've not heard that.
No,
Say
I
it
think
again.
it's
Say
in
it again,
Rowbotham's.
Savage.
I think it's in Rowbotham's book. They did it with parabolic mirrors reflecting the sun on a high spot in Wales and a high spot in Ireland, and yeah, inclement weather and all the rest of it. 5 weeks later, they managed to get a reliable sighting of each other, and that was something like I'm not even going to guess the mileage. 110. I just guessed. There's it's mentioned in a book, one of the books I've got, which is probably the same books most flat earthers have got. Synthetic cosmology, or Earth Not a Globe, or terra firma. Not entirely sure, but it doesn't ring a bell with anyone. It's even got a diagram. It might have even been DeBay's 200 proofs.
You better fish that one out, mate. That's worth a little sniff through, isn't it? That's I not heard that.
I'll find it if I can later. So, shall I share my screen and get my apology out of the way before I'm incoherent?
Are you next on the naughty list?
Oh shit! What have I done?
Let's have your screen. Let's have your.
Hold on. I've just started recording something, for crying out loud. Share computer.
Go on then.
All right.
You can start with.
Okay, so the premise. I found this on Reddit. Oh, I've got feedback.
Can't do confession with feedback, mate.
I can't even talk with feedback. So the premise is, for the heliocentric model, the further you fly above the radius of the circle, the further you have to travel. I think we can all agree with that.
Yep.
To get to the same position. Airlines do everything in their power to decrease flight times, not make them longer. I think we can agree with that. No matter how high you are, the horizontal distance an airplane has to travel is exactly the same regardless of height on the current Earth we live on, which can only make sense on a flat model. And personally, I agree with that. I haven't tested it, but I agree with that, and I would love to see it tested. But anyway, this got me. It's this that got me thinking. I saw this on a meme on Twitter, and sort of 4 times the flight. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It makes absolute sense. And I posted it saying, basically describing an experiment where 2 planes take off from the same location on the same route at the same speed, but they're at different altitudes. So one's, if we take this example, one's at 5,000 feet and one's at 33,000 feet. But I honestly bought into this 4 times the flight time, and I thought there must be some sort of measurable distance, that difference between the 2 flights. So I put it out and then thought, well, let's do the maths on this, because if this works, this is worth backing. And essentially, it's horseshit. Well, if you take into account the 5,000 and 33,000 foot depiction here, obviously this isn't to scale, but if you took those figures out and this was, say, a satellite, and this was, say, an aeroplane, then it might actually be 4 times the flight time or 4 times the distance or whatever. But I think what they're taking in is this, and then they're just sort of roughly going, well, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4 times the flight. But it's horseshit. I mean, if you take off at, I mean, if you go to the,
I think, just rule of thumb, it would be about 30,000 kilometres.
what would?
The height you'd need to be 4 times, roughly.
Yeah, well, I haven't worked that far through it as yet. What have I done? 3959. Sorry, I've got a sticky keyboard with the numbers. So if you go over here, it's called the arc length, which is the surface of the spherical ball that they say we live on.
Screw you, Savage.
What?
I wrote one just for you, and you're using something on screen like that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Talk to me later.
0.014 gives it in miles. But the matter, you use your little web page.
What are you saying? You've designed a calculator that I can just plug these numbers in and it will spit out what I'm looking at?
If you have to arc length, yeah, it's the same as what I do. You can just put it in. You just use the last bit.
Where would this website be?
Well, I haven't got a website.
Oh dear! What a fucking mistake!
I did do a presentation with the whole slide in Imperial for Mr. Savage.
Bloody nice. It was probably the size of a thumbnail and only shared to the few that you share it to. Anyway,
I'm offended.
Moving on.
It. No, I'm not having it.
This is what I've been asking for, Meekin.
Yeah, that looks pretty though, isn't it? That's why I'm upset, really, mate.
So you got the radius of 3959, and I've just put in 45 degrees. I mean, this one is an even 45. Oh well, I mean it's more than 45. It's not even 90 degrees. Anyway, 45 degrees, and you got an arc length of 3,109 miles. So if you put in, and I did this roughly, so we'll put in 1 more mile, and that'll be about 5,000 feet, and you get 3,110 miles. And so if we go up to 65 miles, so you're 6 miles above the surface, that's about 31,000 feet plus change or whatever. It's 3,114 miles, the arc length. So you've got from the ground level of 3,109 being the arc length, then you've got roughly 5,000 feet, 310, and 31,000 feet, 314. So there's literally 4 miles difference going 45 degrees around the ball. So 90 degrees, I think I worked it out over 12,000 miles, and it came in at about 18 miles. So in short, yeah, be wary using this little meme, because it's misinformation. There you go. Brought it all the way around.
Nice link, Savage. That is.
Good callback, John.
And I apologise for tweeting it. It has now been deleted because I saw a number of flat earthers retweeting it. It was only asking a question: would this work? And then it explained the experiment. But after looking it up myself, doing the maths, it was quite clearly not viable. So misinformation. So I will not be using this meme again. So that's the public broadcast over. Thank you.
Well done, sir.
I'll say you sounded very contrite, sir.
And that gives us about 4 minutes before we hit the break.
That's
I'm
just so
going to go
smooth.
look that up now. Why not? Let's contrite.
Well, you've got the break. I'll leave it with you.
Well, I do have a video for when we come back one that Zed Proxy sent to us last week in the chat that we never got around to playing. I think it was last week. Hell, it might have been week before. Either way, I've got it pulled up now, so we'll come back with that from the break with Flat Earth, the Flat Club, which I do believe he is mirroring from somewhere else. But it's a really cool video. We'll check that out. So before we come up to the break, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the one member of Iron Realm Media who is not here with us this evening. One Mr. Walter Johnson. Walt is busy spending some quality family time at home with his better half, as it is her celebration in remembrance of the day of her birth. So he is devoting his time, energy, and attention to her so as to make sure that she understands that's where his priorities lie. So happy birthday, Michelle. Walter, we miss you. It's just not a Friday without you.
Shout out, Shell.
Yeah,
Don't
happy
forget
birthday.
the Waltons. You're missing the Waltons.
We'll be recording that.
And hopefully he's not listening. Surprisingly, we've not seen him in chat. John and I thought for sure he would be sneaking his phone down underneath the dinner table, sneaking in messages into the chat room. But so far, he's being very well behaved.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed, Walt.
And I think we do have Zack back. Apparently, my desktop froze up a little bit for Google Chrome and maybe drop Zack, but I do believe we do.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good, good, good.
Hey, Zed's not dead.
I heard your little spiel about the height. I actually tried answering you, John. I'll show you. I'll take a screenshot.
Okay.
You were saying how we're useless. But yeah, my internet out here was just garbage.
I thought that would provoke a reaction. Well, I hope. But yeah, it's not right, is it? It's misleading, and I mean, technically it's true. What it says about the higher airplane having to fly further is true, but over the distance the experiment or whatever would have to be, and the variables involved of tail speed, wind speed. No, I don't think you couldn't work it out with the data from the black box, but it would be so marginal, the result, that it would have to be repeated hundreds of times to be viable in the eyes of anyone who is hooked on balls.
Oh,
yeah, try to measure the curve at like 100 yards. It's just not, not going to be. You'd have to do it 1,000 times.
Not enough data points.
Yeah.
There's a bit I'm just putting up on screen now, guys. I don't know if I can share it with you, but if you give it a few seconds, it'll come up on the YouTube. Bear with me.
Uh-oh. You know what it is.
Oh,
It's a hard break. I do like a hard break.
Right, I'll do you a quick example, and we should play the Curiosity Show thing when we come back. But at this height, I did a quick bit of maths on it, guys. And even if you travelled 45 degrees, which is what, a quarter, so 5,000 miles, 5,000 kilometres roughly, the difference between flying at 5,000 feet and 33,000 feet is 6.7 kilometres. Boring, I know, but sadly it's not that much. and Josh, actually, have we got the chance to? I've posted the video there to maybe play the
Tie a string around the world.
Yeah, because there are a couple of people, one or two, that would maybe appreciate this mathematics, and it wasn't me that introduced that found this website. It was John. It's absolutely brilliant. He's got a real I don't know, is it 80s, John? Like from when we were kids? Or is it in parody? I don't know, but the information
I think
in there is
it's
really
80s. Good. My wife recognised them. So, yeah, I think it's the 80s.
She actually knows it, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Rob when you need him?
I think he's in Australia.
Exactly where it is.
Son of a gun.
Yeah, he's actually some people, right, actually think he's antipode to me.
Anti-Poe.
Yeah, he's not. He's just really far over there. But anyway,
You missed that.
still miss him wherever. He's over there, I know.
We miss you, Rob. Get your butt on here. I'm just working it out for 180 degrees. So the most you can go around a ball.
20,000 kilometers. So yeah, 20,000 times 3.14. The differential, isn't it?
Well, are we going to break or what?
I'm
We're
ready
going to
whenever-
play. We're going to play.
Don't wait for us.
Are
We're
we gonna
waiting
play-
for the
How are we
break.
going to play after the break? I thought we were playing it after the break. I thought we were breaking it at an hour and a half. And
I feel that sounds good to me. That
spring
sounds,
around the world.
I'm
Perfect.
lost. I'm going to mute.
Just- I got gravity pulled up, ready to go.
I'm ready to go with a bit of gravity, mate.
16-mile difference.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Right.
180 degrees. Don't wait for me.
Well, it'd
Just
be
thinking,
rude for me
if
to
you-
interrupt you while you're talking, John. You just keep right going. I don't want to interrupt.
I'm waiting for the music.
You shouldn't be texting me late at night for maths help if you can do that one that quickly, Savage, by the way.
I got a really good calculator.
Get outta
I found
here.
Online. Someone really useful put it up there, and it's quite helpful.
Weren't me.
16 miles.
I'll get us some gravity, Josh.
I've got the gravity coming. This has been the first half of Have No Sphere. Stick around. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes. We're going to reset the stream, and we will be right back. It shan't be too long. Thanks for joining us, and we will be right back.
Oh, God, please, no. No more.
We're up pretty high, our heads are almost in the clouds, and their feet are chained to the ground with their chains of misery. They've got a hold of me, they won't let go of me. Let go of me. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you, our unified gravity. They can be cruel and mean and a huge pain. Our heads are in the clouds now. Don't let them make it rain. A smile can be the sign they're missing out on their rainy day. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be say we aren't strong enough. We don't have what it takes. I say yeah, they're wrong enough. And we'll show them someday. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Oh yeah, don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you. Oh, you defy gravity. You defy gravity. You defy gravity. Yeah, yeah. At you, oh, you defy gravity.
Guess that means there's only me left. Josh is having coffee.
No, I'm here.
Are you back, bro?
I'm here. I'm waiting for the music.
You not hear that?
What? So these two planes flying at 180 degrees around the ball, the higher plane would arrive 2 minutes later, going at 500 miles an hour. Bugger. Why can't we live on a bigger ball? Maybe we do.
That's maths, mate. Can't we just QVT? QVT. Can we? Let me see if I can get it on a window. Where's the YouTube? YouTube. Oh, cool. Right. Okay. I'm good to go, Josh, I think.
Are we not live now?
Yeah, we're live.
We are live.
Yeah, I totally forgot. I've got to be honest with you. Totally forgot all about the break. I didn't stop the stream. Totally just a kid.
Button
to be honest,
away
if
perfection.
If you hadn't have mentioned it now, John, if you had known, I could end it now. Should we end it now, Josh?
Yeah, I think that way we've got it two separate videos. Unless you guys just want to wrap it up for tonight.
No.
But I think this was easier, more palatable. That way we get in the habit of doing it every week, so we don't forget.
You see, we've got to do it, even though you forget. It's like coming in with your shoes on, isn't it? You've got to take your shoes off, even though you keep getting told off for forgetting. Get into the habit. All right. Okay, you're right, Josh. Right. Good night, everyone. See you in
Next
10
week.
minutes.
We've just had a break.
No, it's not the break. Got to be firm. Got to be firm. Josh, say good night. I'm ready to press stop streaming when you are, and we'll be back in 10.
Well, I would say good night because I was ready like 6 minutes ago. So you do your thing.
Yeah. See you in a bit then. I'd like to end with a bit of maths, but I'm going to leave it. So,
Well, here's the maths. Anyone who's watching now, halve it because no one's going to come back.
that's a fair point. But it's not the point. So you've got to take your shoes off, mate. Right. We'll see you all in 10. God bless. Apologise.